Hello and welcome to our 12 days of holiday nail art featuring designs from me, Talia at Talia's Nail Tales, and
from me, Sarah, from Sarah's Nail Secrets. For the next 12 days, we'll be sharing with you 12 different themes of nail art for this time of year.
Talia is a gel tech and Sarah is an acrylic tech. So you will get a special gift of watching 2 different techniques for each theme.
If you recreate any of these designs, please use the hashtag SecretNailTales on social media so we can check them out.
We hope you enjoyed this gift from us, and let's get started. Welcome to Day 9. Day 9 was themed Grinch. I know a lot of my clients out there request Grinch nails every single year, and what I wanted to show you guys in this video is that you can hand paint on those short nail clients. It's always nice to have a bigger palette to hand paint on, but not all of us have the luxury of having clients with really long nail beds. So this video is designed to help you with your shorter nail bed clients. You guys also know that I am not the best hand painter, but I have found some tips and tricks, as well as some products that really made painting this Grinch a lot easier. Best Grinch green that I had in my collection is the More's Elite in Neon Green. I'm also going to start by taking my Ugly Duckling Omni tool. I like to use an Omni tool whenever I want to do a design that requires a little bit more of a layout. I find that I can just get a lot more product on the nail and kind of expand it to where I want it to go. I also googled Grinch Christmas tree, and I'm going off of a design that I had found online as my inspiration. With Fuzion's Green 101 gel paints, in combination with my Ugly Duckling Detailer No. 2 brush, you guys know this is my favorite detail brush. I just wanted to add a little bit more dimension to this tree by making these kind of triangle type of lines. First using the Fuzion green there, but after I was done this and cured it, I realized that it needed a little bit more dark green, so I went in with a dark green gel polish that I had on hand. I'm sorry guys, but I'm just unsure what number it was. I'm fairly confident it was a Jellyfit one, but I'm not 100% sure. I just kept alternating the 3 greens to make it look more like a tree. I'll be honest with you guys, and I'm not 100% sure I love the outcome of this tree. With Accents 24 Gold Leaf, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add the base of the Christmas ornament that I wanted to add as the topper for this tree. With Light Elegance's Slaying in Red, I'm going to go in and create the ornament hanging off that base that we just did. I am using my Ugly Duckling Omni tool, the small side, just to create a circular dot. On Vogue's White Pearl is this gorgeous pearl color. I'm going to use some of it to create little pearl ornaments on the Christmas tree. I really like this color because it's not super pigmented, and it kind of just adds a little bit of a dimension to the tree, but also still allows the green to poke through a bit. All of the detail work in this design is done with Vetro's Pigment Black. Just want to take a second here and talk about the wonderfulness that is Vetro Black. This design was done first before I did any other designs in this Christmas series, and I found this product to do super fine detailed black works amazing to use. Like, I was blown away with how easy I was able to paint fine lines, and especially when we see it get to the Grinch detailed work, you'll see just how easy it is. Anyway, fast forward a little bit, and any of the designs that I was doing on my clients after this were typically done with Fuzion's black gel paint, and I was struggling with Fuzion. I'll be honest, I was struggling with it. And now that I'm editing this video and realizing that it was the Vetro I was using, I honestly believe that it's the Vetro in combination with the Ugly Duckling Detailer No. 2 brush that allowed me to be super successful with this design. So as you can see, I've completely outlined the tree here. I'm going in and outlining the Christmas ornament, which I was able to get a nice, clean, crisp, fine line with. I think that sometimes different products just work different and better for different people. So I'm really glad that I discovered that the Vetro worked well for me. So all I'm doing now is adding some red Christmas ornaments to my tree design. I wanted to add a red and gold present beneath the tree, and I apologize that this frame is out of focus here, but all I'm doing is adding some more of that Accents Gold and then going in with Slaying in Red. So I want to outline the present here, so I'm going to do the top first, then I'm going to do the bottom here, and then as well as the sides. Then I'm going to go in with a teeny tiny little bow on top, And in this scene, you can actually see just how easy and how well it is to paint with the Vetro black gel paint. Now, please don't take out of this video that I'm at all bashing the Fuzion gel paint. I just remember that the Grinch I found a lot easier to paint than anything I've ever painted before in my life. And when I went in and was doing fine detail work later on, I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working as easy for me. I would have to note that the Vetro black is maybe a little bit more pigmented than Fuzion, and it's definitely thicker, which I guess works better for me for hand painting. With Light Elegance's Iridescent, I wanted to make the nail look a little bit more sparkly, so anywhere that you can see her natural nail poking through is where I'm adding iridescent. Let's move on to the Grinch, what you guys all came here for. So my first step was to find an image on Google that I thought I'd be able to recreate. And you can hand paint in different ways. Some people like to start by outlining in like a pencil on the nail. Some people also like to outline in black first. I chose to outline in color and then go in and do my fine detailed work with the black after. I also chose to embed my Grinch in all of my hand painting. This way, if there was areas that were a little bit lumpy or a little bit thicker, once I get my coat of clear gel down, it's just going to camouflage everything and there wouldn't be any mess. If I want to apply a lot of product to the nail because I'm going to be filling in this Grinch's head here, I go in with my Ugly Duckling Omni tool, and what I find this does is it drags the product over the nail a lot better than my Detailer No. 2 brush does. You could also use like a thicker brush like the block brush from the Selena Ryan brush set. That would work really well for this too. So if you ever notice me alternating between a brush and a dotting tool, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to apply more product and then drag it around. So for this scene, you can see that I'm clearly starting with the base of the Grinch's head. I wanted to make sure that I have the cheeks kind of portraying on the side. I also want to make sure that I'm hand painting the top of the face and doing my very best to make it all proportional to what the image looks like, but applying it to her nails. I personally feel like getting the majority of your product on the nails, such as the green, and then we go in with the Santa hat. I find this to be the easy part. It's the fine detailed work that is difficult and a lot of people struggle with, me included. So when we get to the fine detailed work, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. For the white on the hat, I'm going to use Fuzion's white gel paint, and I'm also going to take my Ugly Duckling Omni tool and just apply this white in a circular motion. Also make note that in between the color changes I am curing, that way I don't have any of the colors blending together. I also cure a lot when I'm doing a design like this, that way my hand doesn't accidentally rub against it or cause the colors to bleed or anything, so cure as much as you need to when you're doing hand painting. Okay, now for the detailed work that I and everybody out there struggles with. I have picked up a few tips and tricks along the way, and also like I mentioned, I do find the Vetro black so easy to paint with. Get yourself some Vetro black, get yourself some Detailer No. 2 brush, and then let me know if it was as easy for you guys to paint as it was for me. So the tricks, and I do have to thank my friend Sarah, who I'm collaborating with, for her hand painting tips and tricks, as well as my good friend Ivory, who also has a YouTube channel. I'll link her in the description box. She also sat down with me and helped me with some detail and fine line painting. So tip number 1, you want to make sure that you are holding your brush like you would a pencil. I find this a lot easier and just kind of a minor thing that I didn't think about when I first started hand painting, but it does make a big difference. Sometimes I think we overthink how we're holding the brush, and that is the easiest way to get fine detailed work. I also want to suggest using a tile and putting your gel colors on that for doing your hand painting instead of working directly out of the pot. I remember seeing a lot of people do this over the years and I never understood why they did it, but what it actually does is it allows you to pool the product in your brush. So when you first place your product on the tile, dipping your brush into it, you want to make sure you're doing long strokes in the color, and this is going to coat the brush so it's a lot easier to paint. This will also make sure that you get any of those blobs or bumps or anything out of the brush that can allow the product not to glide as nice over the nails. And then another tip for you is to make sure that you are pulling your brush and not pushing the brush. It's a lot easier for your brush to glide when you're pulling it. When you're trying to push the product into any location, this is when you're going to cause problems and it's not going to be as smooth. So if you need to adjust and turn your client's hands to make sure that you're getting a nice pulling motion, definitely do that. Okay, so back to the design. Starting with a Dr. Seuss character is a great way to introduce yourself to hand painting, because if it doesn't look fine and perfect and the lines aren't smooth and they're a little jaggedy, it's okay, because that is the way the Dr. Seuss characters look. So you'll notice that when I was hand painting the hat there, I was a little messy with the design. It still looks fine and detailed and nice and smooth, but it's okay that it looks a little jagged. Now I like to outline the entire image first, beginning with the accessory. So that is why I started with the hat. Then I moved on to his face by outlining his face. Keep in mind that I'm curing a lot in between these steps because I did not want to mess up my design. I'm also making certain that I'm looking at the picture beside me quite frequently and following the different lines that I'm working with. You can also break down your image a little bit as well. So for me, that means that I will look at the eyebrow there and I will see what his left eyebrow looks like first. That's what I'll start with. Then I'll move on to the right eyebrow and that's what I'll work with. Next, I'm moving on to his smile, but I'm starting with the left-hand side, then working to the right side. Just break down your little lines and it's less overwhelming than just looking at the entire design and trying to do it all at once. Now, I like to do the eyes last. I feel like the eyes can either make or break your design, and that's just a lot of pressure, so I feel like it's the last thing that I want to do. I also like to make sure that I can fit everything else in, and then I kind of just cram the eyes in. But there's advantages to doing the eyes first too, so just play around with it and see what works best for you. You'll notice that when I'm painting with the brush, I'm really just using a teeny tiny bit of the head of the brush here, and when I pick up product, I'm not picking up very much at all. That was one thing that I struggled with the other gel paints that I've used in the past, is that I found that I really had to coat the brush like crazy and that I was getting way too thick of lines. With this product, you seriously just need a tiny bit, and a little bit goes truly a long ways in this look. I was so impressed with how I was able to paint the Grinch, you guys, and at the end of this design, I'm going to show you the Grinch that I did on a client, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and it was actually on this particular client as well. So you can definitely see that with some of these tips and tricks, I have significantly improved the way that I can hand paint characters. After seeing how well the Vetro paint painted in black, I wanted to use the Vetro's white to do the detail line work of his eyes. And at first I thought about using an Ugly Duckling Omni tool to do this, but this brush just glides over everything so nice. After I have the white down, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to outline his eyes, and what this is going to do is create his eyelids. Again, we're just breaking everything up into little tiny steps. Sometimes if I have too much product on my brush, I will go in and wipe it off on my nail like you guys just saw. To create the pupils, I'm using the tiny end of the Ugly Duckling Omni tool. The very last step is to add a teeny tiny dot in the center to create the iris. After that, I'm going to go back in with Light Elegance's Iridescent and just add some glitter behind the nail. When you embed your characters, you're able to add a little bit more dimension to the nails by adding glitter and little aspects behind it, and then when you get your top gloss on, it's just going to pop. Also, if you end up finish filing any of this design out, which thankfully I didn't, but if you do, you can just quickly clean it up at the end by just adding different lines. You guys know that I like to tie the colors that I use on the big feature nails in with the rest of the design. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to take some of the green and put it all over her pinky nail, as well as her ring finger on the opposite hand, and add Swarovski crystals later on. Whenever I do Dr. Seuss type of nails, I like to do this pattern that I'm going to do on her pointer finger here. So taking some of Light Elegance's Slaying in Red, as well as the On Vogue White Pearl, I'm going to go in and create messy lines. After I have the product down where I want it, making sure to cure it in between each color application, I'm going to go back in with the Vetro Black and outline it. When I'm outlining with the Vetro Black, you kind of want to purposely make it messy. If you look at any sort of Dr. Seuss characters, their clothing and everything is not perfect. So that's what's so good about trying to hand paint a design like this, is if you make it messy, it's okay. If you're not good at hand painting lines, it's okay. It's okay to be messy when you're doing Dr. Seuss characters. So to tie in the gold that we used on the ornament nail, I'm going to do a full nail of this gold color. You guys know I like to tie everything together. For my Swarovski crystal application, I'm going to use Light Elegance's Brush on Glue, these micro swabs I get off of eBay, and Ugly Duckling's Blinger tool. So applying the Swarovski crystals I do after I've applied my gel and done my finish file. I wanted to make the Swarovski crystals look like they were kind of random. So on the pinky, I did this kind of backwards tree using pearls, light cyan, dark moss green, opals, as well as light topaz. On her ring finger, I wanted to do a full nail covered in Swarovski crystals, but again, make it look really random. You guys know that I like to make the full nails look even, but in this case, I stepped out of my comfort zone and I definitely feel like it worked well for this design. So our last step is to apply our top gloss. This just makes your little Grinch just pop right out. You can see the glitters in the background. I love how it came together. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my version of Grinch nails. I truly hope that it helps some of you out there who are struggling with hand painting. I definitely feel like the tips and tricks that I provided and have learned over the last little bit here, as well as the Detailer No. 2 brush in combination with the Vetro gel paint, to work so well, even on short nails for hand painted design. I'm going to insert a picture here of what my Grinch nails looked like a few years ago so you guys can see some improvement, hopefully. Make sure you head on over to Sarah's channel and see what she came up with for her Grinch design. I love the combination that she did with just the green and white, no other colors. I think it turned out so classy and so cool. Follow me on all my social media, and don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 10.